And greetings, y'all. Proud Filipina Charm Zespina here, who's always amazed at the resourcefulness of people who can improvise and provide fixes to toys, tools, and machines that break down or need repair. But in today's VOA Connect, we pay a visit to the Word Museum in Washington, D.C., who repurpose daily objects into works of art.
If you were to take the word duct tape and make it a live art piece, this is what it would look like, duct tape.
It's not just his skill. I actually felt the joy that he felt potentially being there in this beautiful scene.
The word wall is telling the story of where do words come from in the English language. How did they get into English?
One half of the artist. My other artist is my other half, my better half, which is Misha. I'm from Los Angeles, California originally, and Misha's originally from Berlin, Germany. We're known as AKA Art and Words. This is one of our most popular pieces. It's called Einstein the Mathematician, and Misha will come on over here and she can help me with this one here. My favorite, my love. So this is a real equation for love, and it actually states on the paper, I love you. And I want a squeeze forever or as close to infinity as I can get. It's a quantum theory.
I like paper. I was a map maker, so I like paper. In Germany, you learn like map making like by hand, not AutoCAD computer. I learned to really dip the feather in the ink and magnifying glass and paint everything.
We were artists on our own right,
yes,
in a sense doing our own form, and Misha had the idea to take my designs and her designs and show them in this sort of application. And I said, if we're going to do it, we got to do some of the crazier, more pop art designs.
Yeah.
We've got to come up with like our own language and our own concept that really speaks to people.
So we get donations. We get a lot of those sent to us. Thank God, in the beginning, we literally did dumpster diving, to find books. Yeah, we went to libraries because they throw them away right now because nobody, everybody Googles. It is like Christmas every time because we don't know what's in. We don't know how old are they, and there's really rare ones sometimes. This is from 1937.
What we do with that is when we comb through each of these papers, because nothing is random, we actually pick the words that are at the top of each dictionary page to enhance the central theme of what we're trying to say for the art piece. So this is a Disney piece. So she'll pick a couple of words at random, which I picked.
I don't wear my glasses, you pick them.
Okay. So it'll say extraordinary. Walt, of course, was extraordinary in the world that he built. Inspire. Or inspirer. He inspired a lot of people around the world with Disney.
So this will be a canvas later for one of the pieces we're working on right now for a gallery in Miami. And once this canvas is glued together, we can start painting on it. Those books get thrown away. Nobody's using them anymore. A lot of them are actually damaged. They're like spine broken, fire damaged, water damaged. So we're actually recycling them. We pretty much give them a new life. Instead of ending up in the trash can, reuse most of the pages and make art of it.
First of all, the paper's living on, so it's not disappeared for good, which means it's rare. It brings life to the meaning of the art piece because you have what they call
a deeper meaning.
A double entendre or a triple entendre. It's not just about the art, it's the words behind the art, and then the paper that is super old that also adds vintage meets pop art sort of reference to it. So if Jesus were an Abercrombie model and he was given a t-shirt that's hip and cool, it says YOLO, which is a very millennium slogan, which means you only live once. And this is Mary, dressed as an Abercrombie model. And if you look closely, her t-shirt says OMG. The ultimate expression of the term, oh my God, would look like this. Thank you. Now you get it. Now you get it. And this is the ultimate expression of you only live once.
Only live once.
Right? Funny enough, we've had nuns and we've had priests buy the copies of this, and they understand that it's all in good humor. It's done in good fun. It's not meant to offend anybody. It's meant to play with words because we're called art and words. If you were to take the word duct tape and make it a live art piece, this is what it would look like. Duct tape. Yes, thank you.
And
So,
stuck.
and the word at the top says stuck.
I shopped them online. I did shop them
Online
online.
dating.
I put them in my cart, and I'm like, I want this one.
But 12 years later, it is, we don't even know our anniversary date. We don't like look at it. I think I know better than
February
her.
somehow.
February something.
Yeah,
but
he's very romantic.
Yes.
He's counting the years. I don't even know. Well, I told him after 3 months that he loves me. You can just tell, but he never said it. And one day I just took him like, I know you love me. You can say it.
I was like, okay, good.
And he's like,
I should have handed her the Einstein is what I should have done. The real equation for love.
I'm more the one, what do I have to do today? And he is more like the visionary and the yes man. So if people say, can you do it? He says yes. And I'm like this, how do we do it? He's like, we'll figure it out.
the
And
best
now
way to
he's
describe
happy that I convinced him to do it.
That's right. She convinced me to do it.
He said, well, if people would like it and it would be so great, somebody would do it already. And I said, well, sometimes you are first.
We created this piece, you know, in honor of RBG herself, Ruth Bader, and she was just super hip and super cool. And so we wanted to pay tribute to RBG and her personage and all the things that she's also done for women. When the piece ended up in a gallery in Washington, D.C., unbeknownst to us at first, the son of Ruth Bader Ginsburg saw it in a gallery. And he actually contacted us. And he said, do you mind if I could get a print of this to give to my mom? We're like, your mom? You mean the one and only Ruth Bader Ginsburg? We're like, no. You need to take that original from the gallery and you need to present it to mom. 2 weeks goes by and we come home and we find a special letter waiting for us that was dispatched from the Supreme Court. Your artwork of me with a Brooklyn Dodgers cap is hanging in the entrance to my bedroom. It is a gem that lifts my spirits and brings me joy whenever I pass it by, with huge appreciation for your artistry, Ruth Bader Ginsburg. And what's amazing is also we know that from the date of the letter, she was going through her cancer treatments.
We want to also make it accessible to people if they can't afford like a big piece of our original pieces for, you know, a good amount of money. How nice would it be if they can maybe afford a pair of socks, a coaster, or, you know, whatever we have. So the socks are actually a very big hit. So when you wear them, you see the image front and back. So when you turn around, you see the image as well. Nice. We always say you see the image coming and going. Wow. Both words are related to the image. This says silent and strong. People do like to express their opinion with our art. Ruth Bader Ginsburg, if you loved her, you know what she stands for. So of course we have a lot of women who love wearing the socks and show, hey, I'm with her. So it is a statement, and that's why a lot of our art pieces are called statement pieces. This is a very popular one called the British pound. So pound, you know, the currency, and then pounding. So again, we play with words.
We're creating thoughtful art and cool pop art pieces that have something to say on
It's
top of
funny, it's political, there's some political ones,
There's so
some
many
funny
avenues
ones, some...
that we can go with that, and commission pieces that make people cry or remember a loved one. We're mixed media artists that create pop art pieces with a very unique voice.
On vintage canvases.
I started painting on Altoid tins after seeing other people doing it on Instagram, and it reminded me of miniatures that I had already been doing, because I was already doing miniatures that were about the same size. These are all watercolor paintings that I did in 2017. Some of my earliest miniatures, right before I started doing the ones that I'm known for. I kind of transitioned from watercolor to oil. I think I first got into art when I was a little kid. I used to go to my dad's office, and he was an architect. He's dead now, but I used to go to his office and just play with his colored pencils and his drafting templates. And I think that like one of the biggest things I learned as an artist was craftsmanship from my dad. Watching him and seeing how he was careful with everything he did and sort of fastidious to some degree, double checking things and making sure everything was the way that he wanted it. Also kind of had to unlearn some of that too, because like that can sort of get in the way of getting stuff done sometimes if you're too precise. I started a TikTok account and didn't post anything for about a year. It was just a blank account. And then one day I thought, because I've been making videos on Instagram, and then one day I just put one of my Instagram videos on TikTok, didn't even look at it until I think I put it up in the morning, and then somebody said something about it, like, oh, you're going viral. And I thought they were joking. When I posted my first TikTok video, there was one viewer and I had 2 followers. And then by the time the evening rolled around, I had 786,000 views on the one video and 22,000 followers. So at this point on TikTok, I've got 321.4 thousand followers. I use social media now in the way that I post artwork that I've made that is available to purchase. And I sometimes post murals and other artwork that's not available, but typically I post it online on my TikTok and on my Instagram. That generates interest in my work, and then later on, at some point, I will post that I'm selling my work on my website. So then people who have seen my work go to my website and they buy my paintings when they're available.
I think that Remington produces art that not only speaks to what we love and live for here in Colorado, which is being outdoors, capturing the beauty of nature, but also just the whimsical spirit of a big imagination and really seeking the light. I love how Remington always finds the right moment for each painting, so he gets out there whether it's winter or spring or summer and captures just the right light, just the right moment.
My daughter at the time was probably 8. She loves tiny things and she loves art, so she asked if she could buy one, and I said yeah, and she actually used some of her own money for it. And then once she was buying one, I realized I have to have one for myself too. The joy in this little box, it's not just his skill. I actually felt the joy that he felt potentially being there in this beautiful scene. And you cannot, you can't fake that.
Sometimes paintings only take like half an hour or 45 minutes because I have simplified everything in the scene, and there's nature scenes sometimes take less time. It all depends on what it is that I'm painting. This one the one on the left took maybe about 45 minutes. The one on the right took maybe 2.5 or 3 hours. I'm gonna sign some of these paintings, and I never signed them. Did some of these miniature ones in the last few weeks. Okay, this is a landscape of Boulder. They're the Flatirons right there. At sunset during a rainstorm. I was painting on the overlook off of Highway 93 in South Boulder. You can see a little bit of rain coming down there. Also, I used to sign my paintings with a pencil, and I've been lately signing my paintings with a thread breaker or something, but I've been just scratching my name into the paintings lately. It's more precise. I think the number one thing that inspires my art is nature itself, but then I also am finding inspiration constantly through artists that I admire, as well as other artists on social media. Some artists I admire that I find inspiration through are, of course, Claude Monet. A lot of painters are really inspired by Claude Monet, as am I. I'm inspired a lot by James Gurney. I'm inspired a lot by my great-grandfather, whose name was August Bealey. He was an impressionist painter in the Cleveland area in the 1900s. I'm just setting up my tin so I can start another painting. I think I've done 4, and this would be my 5th one. No, this would be my 6th one. Yeah, I did 3 yesterday, and I've done 2 so far today. This is a brand new tin. I don't always use the same colors, just because I like to kind of keep it fresh and experiment a little bit. I do have a certain set of colors that I typically go by. Or I mean, if I use all of my colors, I go in a particular order.
I like them because they're really small and compactable, so you can take them everywhere.
I think I've gone through about 50 cans of spray paint and 4 or 5 gallons of house paint. Altoid tins and murals seem very different, but they're really not that different. It's really just constructing an image. One just happens to be very small, one happens to be very large. There is a different process for getting a really large image, because you have to get the scaling right. So like you can use a projector, you can use a grid system. You don't really freehand large stuff like you can with a small image. So I think for younger artists starting out, what I would recommend is find a niche of something that you like to paint, but also something that sets you apart from other people. And whether you have a niche or not, it's important to keep creating what you're making and to make a lot of it, so be prolific. If you really feel strongly about your work and you like it a lot, then other people will like it too, I think.
Hey there, step up to the mic and say hello.
Hello.
Hello, and welcome to Planet Word.
Hello. Yo, hi there.
You're standing in front of about 1,000 words.
I'm Ann Friedman. I'm the founder and CEO of Planet Word, a new museum of words and language in Washington, D.C. From an early age, grew up loving to read, grew up being really interested in words and foreign languages, and that's why I started investigating the idea of creating a museum of words and language. Being able to occupy the Franklin School, this National Historic Landmark, as the home for Planet Word. We like to call ourselves the world's first voice-activated museum. So we have lots of voice recognition technology, but we also have motion activation. We have places throughout the museum where just by scooting in on a chair, the exhibit begins, or by laying a book in a special holder, you will trigger projection technology.
There's a character called the Onceler, and the Onceler is essentially us and what we're doing to the planet.
The iconic scenes from Alice's Adventures in Wonderland have captivated audiences for generations. Off with their heads! Oh dear, oh dear!
We have these paint brushes, and you can basically dip one of these high-tech paintbrushes in a word palette and paint the scenery around you on the walls with that word. When I dip my brush in that word, what's going to happen? You know, let me see. And I bet when you do that, you are never going to forget that word. It's going to be sunk into your conscience.
Dear, I shall be late!
The cultural subject we call cooking.
Everything's a wheel, turning and turning, never stopping.
The frogs is part of it, and the bugs, and the fish, and the wood thrush too, and people.
Jokes, what makes them funny? You know, it's those homophones and double entendres.
Oh, come on,
That
come
was
on.
not
Come on, come
close
on.
to funny.
A little laugh.
I speak Icelandic.
I speak Amharic.
Hindi. Korean.
Hawaiian.
Farsi. And I speak Hebrew.
Shalom.
Shalom. I know.
The word wall is telling the story of where do words come from in the English language. How did they get into English? And there are many ways that words enter our language. In fact, the exhibit designer and I came up with 24 ways that words enter English, but we settled on about 8 important ways that are represented by the word wall and the story it tells.
English has thousands of words. We don't use that much.
So that's words that came in from war and from the Vikings, and then in 1066, and the Norman Conquest, words that we borrow from other languages.
Part of the story of English is the story of violence, warfare, conquest, and lots of it. It all started when Germanic tribes sailed to what's now England and conquered the people who lived there.
You know, I was a reading and writing teacher, and I think I was pretty successful at that, but like I said, test scores in language arts have been stagnating for years. How could we try to reverse these negative trends? And the idea that came to me was through informal learning. That's what happens at museums. You make learning fun, you have big spaces, you can attract celebrities, all sorts of things that a person can't do on their own, or a teacher can't do on his or her own in a school classroom. So I felt like having a museum allowed me the space and the influence and the sort of national attention that maybe would make reading and language and words cool again.
And that's all for today. Hope that inspired you as much as it did us. We look forward to having you all join us for tomorrow's Inside Story offering. And here's reminding you to work hard, dream big, count your blessings, and be kind. And catch the news right here on PTV. This has been Sharms Espina for Stories from the Grid.